Hi, Charlie Montgomery with Village's Ideas. Today at our house we're putting film on the windows for a couple of reasons. Number one, it blocks all the UV light that comes through, 98% of it. Number two, it provides a security or a privacy screen because the film that we're going to put on the windows has a reflective side, so anybody looking into the room from the outside during the day cannot see into the room. So there's privacy while we can still see out through the windows. Number three, and the real reason that we're doing it out here on the lanai, we all have lanais or rooms like this where there's a lot of glass here in the villages with a lot of sun coming in. So what we're trying to do is to block 50%, up to 50% of the sun's light heat coming through the window. We're using a product that is called Gyla Energy Saving Window Film. This is available at Lowe's and Home Depot. And this particular box, which is the 4-foot size box, is about $50 a box. On the lanai out here, we have very large windows. They're glass windows, and it cost me about $150 to buy enough film to do this lanai, which is 14 feet by 10 feet. And I've got my whole house done with this, so I've got a lot of experience using the film, and I'm going to try to share that with you. Now, there's a few things that are very, very important here. And the most important thing I can tell you is you don't want to do anything until you have these windows perfectly clean. Because whatever's on the window, once you put this film on the window, will be there forever. You can't take it or wash it or get it off. So I'm very big on Windex or a product like that. Clean the window, get it very, very clean. And the next step of the process is I use a microfiber cloth like this. I bought these at Sam's. You can get a pack of about 20 for about $11. It's a pretty good deal. And after I get done, I wipe these windows down with this microfiber, and it cleans everything off the window, and they're crystal clear when I get all done getting them clean. Now let's just take a look at the film. This is what this film looks like. It has a reflective side, and it has a vision side. Over here, the windows that are over here, we've already used this film on these windows, and I did the large windows, which I would not recommend that you do. We're going to demonstrate on a smaller window for you because you have to learn how to handle and get used to the product. So this stuff here is just a piece of vinyl that has shiny on one side and allows you to have it clear on the other side. There's a piece of backer paper on here that when we get ready to install it, we're going to take it off. It's very easy to take it off and get started putting this up on the window. Now the most important thing, the most important step about this whole process is keeping the window and the vinyl wet. And we do that with a product that looks like this. This is a kit that comes with the Gyla. I recommend that you get this kit. It has, I'll show you some of the other tools that come with it to install this. It's about $8, and again, this box is about $50. So I get this. I always get an extra bottle of solution, but the most important thing is that you keep everything wet with the solution. Before I get ready to take the backer off, I completely spray down the window and make sure it's wet. And then as my helper helps me, this is a two-person job. You really cannot do this as one person. As I start to take the backer off, I pull the backer off and I constantly spray the back of the vinyl. Now understand that the back side is the sticky side. And it's just like if you ever put decals on a model when you were a kid. You would soak them in water, and when you put it onto the airplane or the tank or whatever it was, you could move the decal around. But once it dried and once the moisture was gone, that was there forever, and then you couldn't peel it off and move it. That's the deal. This is exactly the same way. As long as you keep the back of that film wet, you'll have the opportunity to move it around, adjust it. Even sometimes I've seen articles where people say, well, I couldn't do it because it folded back on itself and it stuck to it. If you keep the sticky side wet, very important. You can't put too much water on these, and it's much cheaper to buy bottles of solution and waste them than it is to take a piece of vinyl and waste it. Keep it wet here, and you'll have no problems with this whole process. Okay, so we have a couple other things that we're going to use, and these pieces here come with a kit. There's a cloth that I don't use very often. It's to allow you to wipe the window so it doesn't get scratched with the cloth, but I don't really need that. There's a squeegee that's going to allow me to squeegee the water out from behind the film, and once I have it in place, there's a cutter that I simply go along the edge of the window very slowly and cut and trim the vinyl. Now it's made to trim the vinyl a special way, and on the edge of the vinyl, and if you look at any place where they've done a tinting to a window, there's always a little fine line so that the vinyl doesn't touch the edge of the window, and that's because the moisture comes out, gets underneath the vinyl, and starts to peel it off. So this cuts it with like probably 3/32 of an inch opening all the way around the window, so that your installation stays clean and it's not going to peel back off the window from condensation or whatever happens, which would be likely to happen out in this room. All right, you need a pair of scissors to cut the material. I always cut everything 2 inches larger in all dimensions before I try to hang it on the window. So I measure out to get the measurement, I lay the vinyl down, I get it, and I cut square, and I leave 2 inches all the way around to give myself room to play so I can move the vinyl in case, you know, it gets a little dry or whatever. I've got room to play with. You need just a roll of Scotch tape, and I've showed you all the other tools, and I think now maybe it's time to show you how we're going to do it. Okay, so now we're going to get ready to put our first piece up on the window. We're going to do this window right over here. It's a smaller window. Again, it takes 2 people to do this, and we're going to go through a simple process of getting ready to do it. The first thing I'm going to do, which we already talked about, is I'm going to apply solution to the window to make sure that before I even do anything, I've got the window wet. So I'm spraying down the window. Can't get it too wet. And now to get the backer off the back, you simply take a piece of Scotch tape and you tape it onto one side, and then I kind of just fold this little top tab over to give me some so it doesn't stick to my finger. I take another piece of tape and I put the tape on the back side, and again I fold it so that I have like a little handle. Now my helper, if you see, will just simply, and the liner immediately comes right off the back. Now you don't just want to pull this off the back because any rings are, so it must be held in a straight fashion. Jenny, we're going to turn it around so we get the shiny side to the window. We're going to change positions. And the reason I'm doing this, let's get you with the shiny side. There we go.
Okay, I like that.
Get your bottle of solution. And again, we're trying to stay out of trouble, so as we pull the liner off, Jenny's going to spray the back of the vinyl. And now I've got to hold, this liner's coming down off the vinyl. Spray over here by my fingers, there we go. Now you'll watch as Jenny, because she's an experienced person doing this, as we pull the backer off of the vinyl, we're just keeping it wet. You can't put too much water on it, and it's the one thing that it protects you, that allows you to do this whole process.
Need to do it more?
Yep, keep coming down. On a smaller piece, you can really take the whole backer right out. On these big long pieces, a lot of times...
Right, leave a bit at the bottom?
Yeah, just leave a little bit at the bottom, and as we get it up on the window, then we'll pull the remainder of it out. Okay, you want to let go, or?
Yeah.
All right, let go. So now I simply come to the window. I look for my little bit of space at the top. I told you I leave a couple of inches all the way around. And I'm simply going to lay the vinyl onto the window. Now because I've got moisture back there, I'm staying out of trouble. And at this point in time, I can actually reach down, pull the backer out, and I can lay this against the window. So, here we go. We've got the vinyls up on the window, and now it's time for us to get the water from out behind. And the process that you do this is, you make one pass down through the center, one pass through the center, and you can actually see how that vinyl is laid perfectly flat to the window with this simple pass. At that time now, I go to the side. I'm not in a hurry. It's not going to dry back there. It takes a day for all that moisture to dry up. And I'm simply going to the side and I'm getting rid of the water that's behind the vinyl. I do it very slowly. There's no rush. You don't want to leave bubbles or moisture or anything else back there. You just want to come along and you want to make sure that you get all of the water out. Now these places where these corners are very tricky, and you want to go slow because you don't want to punch and rip the vinyl with the squeegee. Now I'm going to go to the other side. And again, up in the corners where I meet, where there's a 90 degree that meets, just go slow and get the water out, be patient. That's one of the key words I used to always tell anybody that I help, is that this requires some patience. If you're in a hurry, put it off to the next day. So if you just are willing to take some time, anybody can do this. It's just not rocket science. And you can see how this piece of vinyl is laying perfectly clean and flat right down on the window here without any problems whatsoever. Okay, I'm in a corner. I'm just taking my time. Now again, I'm just going around, I'm just trying to make sure that I have it installed clearly. And you can this piece is basically installed. It's perfect. There's no crinkles or wrinkles or foldovers. This is a perfect piece of vinyl on this window. And really the only step I have left to do now is to trim the excess away and then to clean up a little bit around. So I don't start right up in the corner. I usually come down from the corner just a little bit. You don't have to use a lot of pressure. It's a very sharp razor blade, and I simply come down the edge of the window slowly, patiently, trying to get a nice clean. Just go with a nice even, don't push hard because it'll tear the vinyl. This one has a little spot in it where there's a little bump from the frame or the side, and it impacted the coming down through here. So I just pulled it, and I'm going back the other way to make sure I get it out of there. Alright, so we got that side done. Again, I'm going very patiently across the top here. Just to trim. I don't use a lot of pressure because it is a razor blade. It does cut very nicely. The worst thing I can do is to try to force it or tug at it because it'll rip the vinyl, and you get it's not as perfect as you really want it to be. So you just have to learn to be a little patient here. Sometimes when I get to the corner, and I'll show you how I do this, if I'm a little concerned about is the cut really clean, I'll actually pull it away and I'll take the scissors and I'll cut that line if I'm afraid of tugging it up in the corner up there. But I've learned that if you just go really, really slow on these corners and don't force them, that you can pretty much cut that clean out of the corner. There's a little tab there. And this corner is now come off there. Okay, now, again, I don't want all this material laying around. I'm cutting this down so that it's easy. This piece is basically falling right off. I'm going to come down and just cut this to get it out of my way. And now I have the other side I need to trim. You can see here where it's come away a little bit. And it's not that that's a problem that comes away, but we want to make sure that we have the vinyl in the proper place so that when I trim it, we're actually getting the trim the way that it should be. Okay, so that piece now has come down, and I really have one more corner that I need to do. And again, I like to come back and just make sure that everything's tight in the corner before I start to cut it. gently, lightly pulling the razor blade knife down, a little trim tool down to the bottom. When you come to the corner, you always go slow. Alright, let's just see if we got this loose up here. This piece comes off, hopefully. We've got the window completely trimmed out. Everything's fine, no problems. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to make sure that I have the solution from behind the window pushed up to the edge. I'm just cleaning the edges. Don't worry about the water behind. You just don't want to have big bubbles. And sometimes, you know, it might take a week for the water to disappear, but eventually the water will evaporate from behind the vinyl. You just need to do your job the best you can now while it's wet and you can move the water out. So right now I'm not really pushing hard, I'm just pushing any moisture that's behind there out to the edge so that it can leak out from behind the window. Take time to make sure the corners are clean. Go over the edges again. Coming back up the other side. And there we have a finished window, all set to go. Take a day to dry to really be solid so that you don't have to worry about it. I will come back to this again before it's done because the thing, as it continues to settle, a little bit of moisture will be there. And I will come back again. There's a little pocket right there that they just form up. Don't ask me why. And I just push it out to the edge. You can do this for probably an hour or so. So what I normally do is I go over and I put the next piece on, and then I come back and I look at this window again. And I just make sure that I have all these little pockets of moisture. You can see them. And you can actually, you don't have to push this hard. You actually just keep working the moisture over and get it out. And if you miss it, it's not a crisis. You just don't want to have a big bubble behind there because that's a problem. Now, one of the other things about this particular window is when we get down to the frame out here can have a little bit of dirt on it. And as you're putting the window on, if this isn't perfectly clean, I mean, it's not the window, it just happens to be the metal, but as you're putting the vinyl on, the vinyl can brush against the metal, pick up the dirt, and then you've got the dirt underneath the vinyl on the window. So it's not only important to get the glass clean, it's also important to get the framework in places that it could touch as you're going to swing that onto the window. Make sure it's clean so it doesn't pick up any dirt and take it with it. Hey, this is Charlie Montgomery from Village's Ideas. Gyla energy saving window film. I think it'll save you a ton of money on your heating bills. It'll allow you to cool this room down. It'll allow you to block the UV, and it'll save 50% on the heat that comes through these windows. Hope you can try it, and really, it's not that hard to do. Make sure you start with a small window, get used to using it, and then move on to the bigger windows. Thanks a lot for watching. Well, how you doing there? I just wanted you to know that we got this project all done. Basically, this room, which was a total of 7 windows, really, plus 6, so it would be 13 windows. And you can see there's some large windows over here. And the total time to do this entire project was about 4.5 hours. Now again, I have some experience working with the material, so it's probably goes along a little bit quicker for me. You can see there's a little cloud outside, a little bit of cloudy, so it's not full bright, but you can see here during the daytime, you have very good vision through the product. The color is called platinum, so it has a little bit of a, you know, a darkish tint to it. So you have the tinted windows. We've done some research, and we took temperatures prior to actually getting this project started, and it was very hot in here. And we've noticed now that we've got this all done, and we've been taking some more temperatures, that we have about a 20-degree drop in the temperature in this room based on the vinyl reflecting. I'm going to go outside with the camera in just a moment. I'm going to show you how we have privacy look to the whole project now. So I'll be right back with you outside, and I'll let you see the final job from the outside. Here I am outside, looking at the exact same room, and of course you can see me there because it is a reflective surface. Nobody anywhere else around can actually see into that room. You have total privacy during the daytime. At night you can't see in, so it doesn't work at nighttime, but during the daytime you have total privacy. You can see down here at the end of the house where there's a bedroom window, and again you can see the privacy. You got the reflection from the fence and stuff on the window, but that's the way this stuff is. It's really a great product. It'll last for a long time, and you just basically need to enjoy it and take your time when you install it. It'll be a great job, and you'll be very proud of what you've accomplished. And that's it. Good luck.